This other little lovely graphic that you're seeing, $12 and $13 tickets for this game. $12 and $13 tickets for this game. Now tell me again, everything's cool in the Indiana Fever fandom, right?
$12. Let that number sit with you for just a moment. Not 1,200, not 120, 12. That is the real-time market price that was being offered to walk into a professional arena and watch the single most commercially powerful female athlete on the planet lace up her sneakers. $12 is less than a movie ticket. It is less than 2 cups of coffee at any decent cafe. And yet, even at that almost laughably charitable price point, the Indiana Fever could not fill their building. Entire sections were empty. Whole rows sat completely untouched. The cameras tried to hide it, but social media found every single angle and plastered those images across every platform within minutes. What you witnessed on that Saturday night was not a scheduling mishap or a preseason shrug. It was a coordinated, deliberate, and financially devastating message sent directly to a front office that has been ignoring its own fan base for months. The empty seats were not an accident. They were a declaration. And today, Hook Reports is pulling back every layer of this story, from the raw financial numbers to the psychological warfare being waged between fans and executives, to the single do-or-die moment that could either save this franchise or send it spiraling into something far worse than a boycott. This is the unfiltered truth that the mainstream sports media does not want to say out loud.
There's about 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and all of a sudden, there's an overhead shot of this game. And you can already see there were a ton of empty seats in this place. A ton. And my goodness, this overhead shot, literally, the account that put this out, tons of empty seats, and this was...
To truly understand how shocking Saturday night was, you have to understand what this franchise looked like just 12 months ago, because the contrast is almost impossible to comprehend. During Caitlin Clark's historic rookie season in 2024, the Indiana Fever averaged an astonishing 17,036 fans per game. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was not just sold out, it was electric every single night, filled with energy that had never existed in that building before at that level. The demand was so historically unprecedented that opposing road teams were literally relocating their home games to massive NBA arenas just to accommodate the flood of fans that followed Clark from city to city. She was not just a basketball player filling seats. She was the most powerful traveling economic engine women's professional sports had ever produced. Fast forward to early 2025, and even a completely meaningless scrimmage held in Iowa City drew a packed house. People drove hours and paid premium prices just to watch her warm up. So when you hold that extraordinary image next to the ghost town that appeared on camera Saturday night against the Nigerian national team, the emotional and financial whiplash hits you like a freight train. This is not a slow decline. This is a cliff. And the speed at which this fan base went from camping outside arenas to actively refusing to enter one for $12 tells you everything you need to know about how badly trust has been broken between this organization and the people. Who made it relevant? But understanding how we got here requires going back to where the anger actually started.
Fanbase.
Pre-halftime. Correct. There was about 5 minutes left before the half when this shot came up. And it led me, there were so many empty seats, I actually went over and had pulled up the following graphic that I'm going to put up in front of you, which is, that is the layout from Ticketmaster. Everything in the blue had tickets available for this game. And also this other little lovely graphic that you're seeing.
This did not happen overnight, and it did not happen over one bad game. The frustration inside the Indiana Fever fanbase has been building steadily, layer by layer, since the moment Caitlin Clark was drafted. It started on draft night itself, when the coaching staff stood in front of cameras and inexplicably described the greatest primary ball handler to come out of college basketball in a generation as an off-and-on ball player. Fans heard that and immediately started asking uncomfortable questions about whether this coaching staff actually understood the asset they had just been handed. Then it escalated. Executives grabbed microphones and dismissed the growing wave of fan concern by labeling worried supporters as complainers. That is not how you communicate with a fan base that just handed you a cultural and financial renaissance. Then came the roster decisions. Instead of going out and signing proven veteran talent to support their franchise player, management attempted to convert known defensive liabilities into combo guards, a move that left fans genuinely baffled. But the moment that truly detonated the fan base, the moment that transformed frustration into organized financial rebellion, came the morning after a humiliating 5-point loss to the Dallas Wings. Caitlin Clark had been brilliant. The team had collapsed around her, and the Indiana Fever PR team's response was to post an AI-generated hype video. They served their fan base digitally produced nonsense instead of accountability. That was the final straw, and the fans made sure the organization knew exactly what was coming next. That loss to the Dallas Wings was not just a bad night. It was an X-ray. It revealed exactly what is underneath the surface of this roster when the one player holding everything together takes a seat on the bench. And what the X-ray showed was deeply alarming. Caitlin Clark put together a masterful individual performance in that game, scoring 21 points on 66% shooting and running the offense with the kind of precision that makes her appointment television every time she touches the floor. But the second she sat down to rest, everything fell apart in a way that was almost difficult to watch. With Clark on the bench in the second quarter, the Indiana Fever were outscored 36-7. A competitive game became a blowout in a matter of minutes. Supermax veteran Kelsey Mitchell, one of the highest-paid players on the roster, shot an abysmal 4 of 12 from the field and finished with a horrific -1.8 rating. Key role players who are supposed to provide secondary scoring combined for exactly 0 points during that stretch. 0. The fans watching at home did not just see a loss. They saw confirmation of their worst fears about this roster. They saw a team that is entirely dangerously dependent on one player to function at a professional level. And when they looked at upcoming ticket prices and then looked at that box score, the math became very simple. A roster that produces that kind of collapse without its star is not worth premium pricing. That realization would fuel everything that came next. On the surface, the game against the Nigerian national team looked like exactly the bounce-back performance the Indiana Fever needed. The final score read 105-57, a dominant, comfortable blowout that checked every box on paper. Aaliyah Boston made her highly anticipated return to the floor and immediately reminded everyone why her presence changes the entire geometry of this offense. She racked up 6 assists in just 10 minutes of action alongside a staggering +2-1 rating. When you project that production across a full 36 minutes, you are looking at a player who could realistically drop 21 assists per game as a center, operating as a Nikola Jokic-style offensive hub. Kelsey Mitchell responded to her Dallas nightmare with a clean 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. Michaela Timpson was sharp. The ball movement was genuinely crisp and encouraging. But here is where the story gets complicated. When the second half arrived and the bench unit took over extended minutes, Nigeria, the 8th-ranked national team in the world, played the Fever's reserve players nearly even, 15-12 in one quarter, 16-18 in another. Those numbers did not show up in the highlight packages, but the people paying close attention saw them clearly. The fans who chose to stay home that night never witnessed the encouraging first-half performance. All they had was the Dallas disaster fresh in their memory and a box score that, upon closer inspection, quietly confirmed that the depth concerns have not gone anywhere. And the financial consequences of that lingering doubt are genuinely terrifying. Here is where the situation stops being just a sports story and starts being a financial crisis with real, quantifiable consequences. The preseason game against Nigeria had tickets available for $12 and $13. Sections that should have been completely sold out at that price were visibly, embarrassingly empty on national television. Now hold that image in your mind and consider this. The regular season opener against the Dallas Wings on May 9th, a nationally televised game on ABC, has tickets starting at $97. That is an 800% price increase. 800%. The front office is operating under the assumption that the same fan base that refused to enter the building for $12 is going to enthusiastically spend $97 just 1 week later because the games now count. That assumption is dangerously disconnected from reality. The math here is not subtle. If the Indiana Fever lose even 5,000 fans at that price point compared to their 2024 averages, that is nearly $500,000 disappearing from a single game. Spread that attendance drop across a 20-game home schedule and you are looking at a potential $10 million revenue loss before a single playoff ticket is sold. No promotional campaign fixes that. No social media push reverses it. No AI-generated hype video closes that gap. The only variable that actually moves the needle on consumer trust at this scale is winning. Winning consistently, winning convincingly, and winning in a way that makes the bench unit look like a legitimate supporting cast rather than a liability the franchise is hoping nobody notices. And that brings everything down to one specific night. The modern sports fan is not the passive consumer that front offices used to count on. They watch film, they track plus-minus ratings. They pull up box scores mid-game on their phones, and they share what they find instantly across platforms with millions of other people who are doing the exact same thing. The Indiana Fever fan base, supercharged by 2 years of Caitlin Clark attention and cultural momentum, is among the most analytically engaged audiences in women's sports right now. And what they have been seeing in the data has been deeply unsettling. The roster depth crisis is not a rumor or an overreaction from a panicked fan base. It is documented in box scores, in plus-minus splits, and in the stark visual evidence of a team that plays like two completely different franchises, depending on whether its star is on the floor. Reports and fan commentary have consistently pointed to the same core issues. The backup guard rotation lacks the defensive discipline to hold leads. The frontcourt depth behind Aaliyah Boston drops off sharply the moment she rests. And the coaching staff's rotation decisions have repeatedly drawn criticism for leaving lineups on the floor that have no realistic chance of competing without Clark anchoring every possession. Fans were patient through the rookie season bumps. They were patient through early 2025 roster construction questions. But patience has a breaking point, and the Indiana Fever front office found it when they responded to legitimate competitive concerns with an AI video and a press conference full of dismissive language. The empty seats are not apathy, not yet. They are anger, and anger can still be reversed, but the window is closing fast. Every thread of this story runs directly into one specific date, May 9th, Dallas Wings, ABC, national television. This is not just a regular season opener. This is the single highest stakes game the Indiana Fever have played since Caitlin Clark's debut, and it has nothing to do with standings or playoff seeding. It is a referendum, a live, nationally broadcast vote of confidence or no confidence from a fan base that is watching very carefully to see whether this front office deserves their time, their attention, and their money. The best case scenario looks like this. Clark runs the offense with the fluidity and command she showed in her dominant Dallas performance. Aaliyah Boston anchors the paint, controls the glass, and orchestrates that Jokic-style passing game that made the Nigeria win so encouraging in the first half. The bench unit comes in, holds the lead, and contributes meaningful points without the kind of collapse that turned the first Dallas game into a crisis. If that happens, the narrative flips overnight. Ticket sales for future games correct themselves. The financial damage begins to heal. The fan base re-engages with the kind of energy that made 2024 feel historic. One dominant, complete team victory acts as a reset button. But the alternative scenario is where this gets genuinely frightening. What if Clark is brilliant again, scoring 30 or more, and the team still loses because the supporting cast cannot hold it together for 40 minutes? What if the building on national television is noticeably underfilled because fans refuse to pay $97 after being offered $12 seats they did not want? If that nightmare plays out on ABC in front of a national audience, the anger does not get louder. It gets quieter. And that quiet is far more dangerous than any boycott. Apathy is the one thing no sports franchise can recover from. Anger means fans still care enough to make a statement. Empty seats at $12 are a warning shot. But if May 9th delivers another collapse, another AI video, another dismissive press conference, the warnings stop. Fans close their wallets permanently. They stop watching, stop clicking, and stop talking. And when that happens to a franchise built almost entirely on the cultural gravity of one player, the financial consequences do not just hurt. They are potentially irreversible. The Indiana Fever were handed the rarest gift in professional sports. A generational talent arriving at the exact moment when an entire audience was ready and hungry to invest emotionally and financially in women's basketball. The question was never whether Caitlin Clark could carry this league forward. The question was always whether the people running this franchise were capable of building something worthy of standing beside her. The empty seats gave us the fan base's current answer. May 9th is the front office's last real chance to give a different one. Hook reports will be here for every number, every box score, and every uncomfortable truth the mainstream refuses to say. The only currency this organization can spend right now is winning. And the clock is running. Stay locked with my channel Hook Reports for all basketball updates.